hereby call to order this regular meeting of the Danbury Board of Education. Will all those in attendance please rise for the pledge of allegiance? Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In our recognition section this evening, we're honored to have the mayor here this evening. The mayor is here to present the Danbury Education Foundation Grant Awards for this year. So at this time, I'd like to turn the floor over to Mayor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Appreciate everybody being here. But by the way, we got to work in the pledge. All right, that was way off sometimes. I just want to share that with you. But once again, I'm back to present. I'm going to move over here to present some awards for the Danbury Education Foundation. The Danbury Education Foundation is a 501c3 organization. Whoops, throwing checks around for Ilio. 501c3 organization that was organized back in 2004 by my administration, and its mission and goal is to provide extra funding for staff members for things like curriculum, classroom development, classroom management, technology, and those kinds of things. So we had a number of awards that we want to give out tonight. If they're not here, they don't get the money. We're just going to divide it up amongst everybody else. It's approximately a little bit more than $11,000 worth of grants that we're awarding tonight. I raised all of this money personally by begging everybody in the entire city to donate, so it is tax deductible. So in no particular order, I'm just going to call out the project and ask them to come forward. The first one that we have is something called Orff Musical Instruments, or Orff Instruments by Marie Williams for King Street Intermediate School. We have an award for her for $1,025. I think that's to buy
one instrument.
$1,000. We're in the wrong business, but congratulations. Oh, sorry.
She got newsletter, so you got to actual name.
It's okay, all right. The next one is, we have actually one $5,000 grant, but I'm going to hold that to the end because that's no fun. We have Mary Neimer over at King Street Primary and Millridge Primary came up with the Neimer Running Program. Mary's a good buddy of mine, but that's not why she got the grant. This is a great application. $1,500 for her running program. We now have an award for Aprendido Juntos, Learning Together by Linda Mitten and Christina Roth, for Danbury High School and King Street Primary. This is a program that's designed to work together with both organizations. It's a check for $550 to get that program up and running, so congratulations. That's a big one. We have a one of the actually it was a graduation today at ACE school, and it's just a wonderful experience. If you've never been to ACE graduation, if you're a member of this community, I encourage you to go and just watch the program. So they had graduation today, but one of the staff members there wrote a wonderful grant, who also was one of my students back at Danbury High School. That makes me feel very old. But he has a grant here for $1,500 for the BioEcho 21 program over at ACE. John Weber. He's doing the lake, the Moose Lodge does this dip where you jump in the Lake Kenosha. I did it like 2 years in a row, almost had a cardiac. And so I'm going to go and watch John do it. It's a great party and all for fundraising, so if you want to go, we encourage you to do it. Okay, got a few more here left. We have the Terry Weil Greenhouse Vocational Program by Ann Cunningham and Scott Weisner for Danbury High School, checking out $970 for we had a terrific grant that was written for the high school book club, written by Natalie Kohler. So we have a check for her for $1,432. And finally, the granddaddy of them all, this grant was put together by Laura Baxter, Donna DeMeo, and Christina Taylor Rindeau at Danbury High School, and it's called Hunger Games: Political Freedoms at Risk. And this is a check for $5,000 for the grant. That's the only time I bring checks over to the Board of Ed, so...
We could change it.
Yeah, I'm sure you could, Doc. So, anyways, congratulations, everybody. Great work.
Congratulations to all the award recipients. Also here this evening is Lisa Fries from Peer Leadership. We're here to recognize the Peer Leadership 2011 Spin-a-thon, raised over $9,000 to help our military heroes. So, Ms. Fries, would you like to, a couple of minutes?
Thank you. Actually, I really didn't do anything. It was absolutely 100% all the work of the students, so I would like to just turn the microphone directly to them.
Well, first off, we'd like to thank Ms. Fries for helping out so much, because she actually did so much for our group, like throughout the whole thing. And Mr. Pei too, and Ms. Cal, our marketing teacher, and everybody. And basically how we got involved with taking on the Spin-a-thon raffle basket management like portion of our community change project was we had like a real emotional attachment to the project at like pretty much as a whole. And because in early November, I ended up taking a trip down to DC with Ted Hollander, my mom Mary Beth Vandergrift, and Boy Hollander, all the co-founders of the Help Our Military Heroes organization. And I got a chance to see a van presentation to a family that needed a van, and I saw the previous van recipient, Sergeant Carlos Evans. And Sergeant Carlos Evans was so thankful that he saw the van, and that he had the van. And just to see him standing there, like so proud for like our country, that like despite what happened to him, like just standing there, just being so like happy, so thankful, just like so content, like. It really got me like excited to make a difference in the community. Like we really want to do this. So the next day, like we came back that same night. Like it was a crazy trip. That same day, the next morning at school, I like told Casey, who's not here, Casey Wright, Dayan, and Mike about Sergeant Carlos Evans and like what kind of guy he was, like the conversations I had with him, and they were all just real fired up to get involved. And like as soon as we got the raffle tickets, we like started selling them. Like we were just determined to fundraise. And on the event day, we had about 22 students out there helping, like around the gym, doing things. And like they were selling tickets, writing out tickets, like distributing food to the people who just worked out. And actually, Mike was outside for a little bit in the freezing cold, directing traffic. It was pretty funny. But yeah, I like to toss it over to Dayan, and he's going to kind of talk about how we worked on the project and what kind of things we got into.
Thank you, everybody. I'm Dan Rosado. I just want to talk a little bit about how we prepared for this project. Definitely when we first heard about this project, we knew it was going to be something big and something overwhelming. And we knew that we were going to have to work together as a group to get things done. It was a great experience, and we did so much to really make it successful. I mean, since the beginning of the year, myself, Andrew, Mike, Casey, and another classmate, Corey Dean, who's not here, who was part of the DECA portion of it, we were working our butts off, literally. I mean, we went from meeting to meeting, like every other day we had different meetings with Mrs. Hollander, and we really wanted to make this a success. We had the media, Miss Eileen Fitzgerald. She interviewed two of my classmates, and she really helped us out, get it out to the public, and we definitely appreciated that. That was great. Thank you for that. We had school assemblies where we talked to the students on community change, and they really brought into it, and I think that's how we raised so much money for this event. It was definitely a lot of work, but it was so worth it. Just the feeling that we all had after the event was done, it didn't matter how much work we did because we knew that we did something that was so good for a family and somebody that helped us out. It was definitely well prepared, and if I had to do it all over again, I would do it in a second. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna talk. I gotta get my notes. The day before the spin-a-thon, me, Andrew, and Casey Wright went to the Marine League in Richfield, Connecticut, where actually Casey and I first, because Andrew have already met Carlos. Casey and I first met Carlos Evans. Not only did we meet Carlos, but we also met many other veterans that told us stories about their service and like what they went through. And not only were we shocked, but it made us care even more about the project and raising money for this cause. Besides us, everyone else there was eating, having a great time, talking to everybody, and I think it was just like a good connection with all the Marines. The next day was a spin-a-thon, which was really, really cold. We didn't get to have the parade. But Sergeant Carlos Evans came in and he made an emotional speech in front of many people who were there listening, like all ears for him, and also the Patriot Guard was there next to him while he was speaking. One of the most touching moments I've ever witnessed in my entire life. After that and before that, people were participating in many events such as Zumba, hip hop dance, boot camp, and spinning. But there was also other ones that I wasn't really sure about. But in total of the raffle tickets, we raised $8,095, which added to a total of $177,000 that through just that day that we gave to help our military heroes. And we would be more than happy to hand the check to help our military heroes into the holiday.
Thank you very much.
Just want to say on behalf of the board, very grateful to Andrew, to Mike, Dion, and Casey, and to others, continuing the long tradition that we have in Danbury High School and throughout the district, and in raising money and helping out the needs of the community, whether it's the military, earthquake relief, diabetes, soccer balls for children, etc. You're maintaining a very strong tradition here in Danbury, and we appreciate all of your efforts. Thank you very much. Now on to public participation. The board welcomes public participation and asks that speakers please limit their comments to 3 minutes. Speakers may offer objective comments of school operations and programs that concern them. The board will not permit any expression of personal complaints or defamatory comments about Board of Education personnel and students, nor against any person connected with the Danbury Public School System. So anyone in the first row who wishes to address the board this evening? I'd like to remind board members and public speaking, please use the microphones.
My name is Kimber Bindis, and I am a King Street primary parent. And the first thing that I'd like to address is the calendar, and that I, voted just recently to get rid of the February break and the professional day in May as being the best option in terms of having least impact to those parents who may have planned vacations over those holidays. A lot of people do both, but I think that in terms of the least impact, it would be, if they kept the April break, because I think more people do plan to do things over those holidays. So I also wanted to state that. And I also wanted to say that I do believe that snow days should be written into future calendars. I realize that this has been an unusual year in terms of the amount of snow, But since living in this area, I have not seen less than 4 snow days used in a given year, and I don't understand why we can't build them in, plan for it in the future, and then we wouldn't have to be making these choices, or parents losing deposits, or not having their children in school because we had to cancel a vacation. And I realized that 8 days, we may even have more by the time winter is over. You know, we wouldn't necessarily have to plan for worst case scenario every year, but we should plan for what is generally seen every year, and I think that 4 is pretty reasonable, or some, you know, some such amount, which, you know, obviously if you looked at the history, you know, you would best make that decision. I've worked in school districts before that had snow days, and it seems to work a lot smoother. And I've often wondered about it, and this year was the first time that, you know, it actually made me think, wow, you know, maybe we should have this discussion. The other thing I'd like to talk about is a note on the CMT discussion. You know, as a parent, it's a little disheartening to me that our schools have now focused so much on standardized tests. And I realize that a lot of this is driven at the federal government, but I would like to see superintendents and school boards across Connecticut and across the United States start to say enough is enough. When I listen to discussions, it makes me sad to think that there are people that want to get rid of recess, people that want to get rid of science and social studies, and basically everything that provides a well-balanced education in Connecticut, among other states. Just anecdotal evidence, I've done some work in schools. I've asked 8th graders here in Connecticut, not in our school district, if they could tell anything about the solar system. These children could not tell me that the Earth revolved around the sun. And I asked at least 20 children, and maybe only 5 could give an answer. Maybe only 3 could tell me how many planets there were in the solar system. These are things that are becoming increasingly lacking in our school system. And we are pushing so much down at the elementary level that we have kindergartners that we're being asked to, you know, do writing. First graders that are asked to make connections between self and text and comparing different texts they're reading. Second graders that are already doing 45-minute writing assignments in preparation for a CMT that they're taking the next year. Everything is geared towards learning about the standardized test, which is meant to be a minimum. And we're shortchanging our children by not allowing them to have a breadth of knowledge introduced to them, preparing everything based upon these standardized tests. And I challenge the board here, and I challenge the superintendent to get together with other boards from other schools and from other superintendents and start talking to the state about making some sense out of this.
Thank you, Mrs. Winters, for time expired. Thank you very much.
That's pretty much all I need to say.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the first row that wishes to address the board this evening?
Hi, Kevin Haddock, Denver resident and King Street intermediate teacher. I want to talk about the calendar this evening. First off, I should state that I spoke to CEA last night, and the State Board of Education was going to discuss this matter today. I don't know if they made any progress on the state level. But currently our calendar states that any days added will go to June 30th and then be deducted from the April vacation. However, now we're considering taking them instead from February break and asking various people about various options. And I have to ask the question then, why put that policy on the calendar in the first place if when faced with the reality of it, you're going to seek an alternate option? Perhaps in the future, the board should consider other options to begin with. When parents and staff make their plans for April break, they do so knowing they might face repercussions based on the statement on the calendar that says past June 30th will be deducted from April. If we prematurely remove the days from the April vacation, staff and parents will find themselves in a dilemma. And you know, this is really unfair to them since they're planning those trips knowing the days would only be removed if we went past June 30th, which we have not reached. If we remove the days from the February break, staff would also be affected for booking a trip that they never feared would be jeopardized, since the calendar contains no warning of days being removed from the February break. And so they should not be penalized for that. With that being said, for me personally, I'd like to see the February break eliminated and the PD day in May turned into an instructional day. However, no one should be penalized for that. And I'd like the board to strongly consider its future policy on snow days and building them into the schedule, as the previous speaker said, so that you're not setting a calendar with an option that you don't intend to fulfill. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Haddon, for your presentation. Anyone else in the front row wish to address the board this evening? Second row, Mrs. Steichen.
Mayor Dan, it's come to our attention that there are serious issues going on at Danbury High School with regard to grading. Teachers have received a directive from the administration to do the following. Exam grades higher than the average of the 2 quarters are going to be reported as the grade. If exam grades are lower than the average of the 2 quarters, take the average of the 2 quarters and post that as the exam grade. If you issued a credit-only grade, then go in and create an exam grade of 65%. This translates as follows. If a student has a midterm exam grade of 55%, but a 70% quarter 1 and 90% quarter 2 grade average, the administration has told the teachers to take the average of quarter 1 and quarter 2, 80%, and report the exam grade as 80%, not the actual 55%, and then use it as 20% of their grade. The next directive given to the teachers. Students who do not show up for an exam will receive a 50% score. This sounds like a good deal. I would love not to go to work and have to pay 50% of my salary. They also indicated that parents and students would not be informed about what was done until the grades have gone home to them. This is grade tampering, data manipulation, not to mention, in my view, immoral. Grades posted on report cards are sent to the state. Funding, scholarships, GPA, class rank, etc. are based on those grades. The school could lose its accreditation, and where then would DHS be? The credibility of all of the administration, Drs. Pasquarella and Glass, and the Board of Education, I feel is at risk. The ramifications of this grade tampering have both short and long-term effects, not only in the school, but our community as well. Also, Dr. Rossi specifically communicated in a voicemail to all of the parents that midterms would be only 10% of the final grade due to snow days. We can only assume this, and except AP students would be given take-home, like open book, open internet, parents, tutors, etc., any kind of help they want to take their grades. We can only assume this is to improve the grades in the administration's favorite program. So the administration just changes the rules on an ongoing basis, at its whim, and that does not accurately reflect the parents nor the students what is going on. It is time to rein in the administration at DHS and hold them accountable for this. Students are upset about this as the parents. It is a sad day when students see what they believe is a low moral and ethical standard of the administration that is supposed to be leading them. Immediate action is required. So the question is to the board, what are you going to do?
Thank you, Mrs. Steichen, for your participation this evening. Anyone else in the second row wish to address the board this evening?
I'm Sandy Steichen, and I'd like to give you my 3 minutes of time to respond to the previous speaker.
Mrs. Steichen, the public participation is meant for you to address the board. Are you complete? Thank you.
Then will respond to us at some point.
We will move on.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the second row wish to address the board this evening?
Good evening. My name is Kathy Valley. I am a resident of Danbury, and I'm also an employee of Danbury Public Schools. I'm a school library media specialist. I'm here to speak briefly to you tonight about two budget items. The first is the position of Director of Information Services and Technology. This position was formerly held by Sue Rice and was not filled at her retirement last year. Mrs. Rice has continued on with us this year as a consultant, valiantly trying to keep up with the demands of this position, working 10 hours a week. We applaud her efforts and we thank her for her dedication, but we believe, the media specialist, that the position of Director of Information Services and Technology is vitally important to our school district. This district needs an educator at the helm who has the vision and leadership skills necessary to guide us in preparing our students for the 21st century. We need leadership to make the best use of the technology we've invested a lot of funds in to help increase student learning. The world's changing very quickly, you know that. We've moved from desktop computers to laptop computers, and today, netbooks and iPads and iPods and iPhones and Kindles and Nooks, and we require a visionary leader to move us forward in a direction that offers our students all the experiences that they need to succeed in a complex world. Please consider filling the Director of Information Services and Technology position for the good of all of our students. The second budget item I'm concerned about is funding for books for school library media centers. For the second year in a row, there are $0 allocated in the budget for library books. This means no new bestsellers on the shelf at Danbury High School, no 2011 Connecticut Nutmeg Award books on display in the middle school media centers, no 2001 Caldecott or Newbery Award winners in the elementary school libraries, no new books for our ELL learners. 2 years of zero funding is going to have a dramatic effect on a library's ability to entice and enthrall readers. At $2 a student, a $20,000 investment, a really small amount of a very large budget, that would mean so much to 16 media centers. Please consider funding books for school libraries because reading is essential to every student's education. I thank you for your time and for your dedication to our students.
Thank you for your participation this evening. Anyone else in the third row wish to address the board this evening? Fourth row? Anyone in the back? Anyone at all? That's all. Seeing no further participation, public participation is now closed. We'll move on to the consent calendar. Chair seeks a motion regarding the consent calendar.
That the Board of Education approve the items on the consent calendar as recommended in Exhibits 10-40 and 10-41.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Molinaro. Any discussion on the consent calendar? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? The motion carries unanimously. Is there an employee representative here this evening? Mr. Yoshi?
Just two quick items. I spoke with Dr. Pasquarello yesterday about the phone calls that went out to survey about the school calendar. Just so you're aware, I know we had the discussion he may have already mentioned to you. I've had reports, well, some teachers did not get that call at all because they're not on that service. I haven't seen the results, but and other people reported getting it multiple times. So understanding it's the first time it's been used and there are glitches, but just so you're aware of that. And the second item was we had agreed during our last negotiation to report out by January 31st about two items that we were going to work with Human Resources on, e-learning and, oh, now I just get
Professional development.
the PD committee, thank you, I'm sorry. And due to snow, we've had to postpone that. So we set negotiation dates for March 3rd and 10th. So hopefully we'll have something to report out shortly on those two items. Thank you.
Great. A couple of meetings ago, we brought up, anytime the students wish to opine on matters before the board, the students' input is highly solicited. We're highly soliciting your input. We really want to know what the students feel. So, any issues that present themselves in the school or that are on the agenda, feel free to participate in the discussion and to bring those items to our attention. You are representing the students in the district, so we appreciate your participation. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Pasquarello, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start, as long as, let me start with the snow removal. Just, I think the A will take a few minutes. Just to report, because it's been in the news, Danbury, we've been very fortunate, Mr. Idarola and the inspectors have been on the school buildings and on the roofs for the past 10 days, 12 days, and they've done a yeoman job in clearing the roof. They've hired outside consultants or outside contractors. They've actually, the fire department has just been wonderful helping out. They, because of the special harnessing, have been on the roofs. The principals have been calling me and most appreciative about the help they're getting from the city. So to date, you know, it's vigilant on our part. They were out there today again to keep inspecting the roof, but so far things are okay. We're very fortunate again that we didn't get any storm jet this week for a number of reasons, but that has certainly helped us with our possible problems with the roof. So I publicly want to thank the city for the work that they do and have been doing for us. Legislative update, just a big thing coming about is very possibly there will be some change in kindergarten dates. I mentioned it to you before. September 1 may be used as an entry slate for K. Looks as though it will be phased in. There are a number of other items, but right now these are bills that are just raised. Whether they go forward or not, I don't know. So as soon as they start getting serious about moving them forward, I will start bringing them to the board regarding information before we do be cognizant. I think we have a legislative meeting with our legislators on the 24th that Linda Pasco is running. Is it the 24th? Do you know where it's at by chance?
We have not secured location yet. They'll be sending out information shortly.
Okay, so we'll have that meeting. Hopefully by then we'll have some other information from them. If we could, I'm going to turn it over to Bill in a minute, the school calendar. Our school calendar is is very definite in terms of how days are going to be used. We don't build the days in, but in essence, we just keep adding the days on until we get to the end of the school year. This has been an unusual year, and that is why I'm coming before you, asking you to think about the days that we have ahead of us that we should turn into school days rather than vacation days. I think the youngsters have been home enough. Part of this whole process has been to break the cycle of influenza, and kids are, in school over a long period of time. The February break presented itself. We have a very short break. We don't have a long break, but still it is a break. Families have planned accordingly. But I stand here telling you that in June, we began getting phone calls to release schools, because of the heat level. So not only are we losing school now, I will venture to say we'll be losing schools if we go too far into June. This is a very unusual year, and I think that you should at least have the debate and the discussion on whether or not we want to add some instructional days back to the school days. With March coming in, as with testing and what have you, we've already had such a episodic year. It's been really affecting us in not a very positive way. That you consider those 2 days and a half day on Thursday as full school days. We did do a survey for the first time. Our new alert system has that capability. We were able to send out information. As Mrs. Mershon mentioned, not everyone received the call. Some folks have asked to be off the call list. They don't like to get the 4:30, 5 o'clock call in the morning. I know the feeling for that. But that we can't help. Maybe we can do it better. But at this point, we decided to at least give you a flavor of what we're getting from the public. I received calls on both sides saying, yeah, it's a good deal, but we have to change our plans. I would agree. I think you have to hold people harmless. This is, it's very short. We had a meeting last week. We might have been able to discuss it then. So I think we need to deliberate. I put it in here as information. If it gets to the level where you want to discuss it in a motion, then you can raise it as an item on the board to vote on. It's certainly up to you. And I'll let Bill at least share the information that we've been able to garner from the phone calls.
Thank you. Just going back to one of the comments that was made, a very valid point about building in snow days. As Sal said, we don't have them listed, but our tentative last day of school is June 15th. So we have ample time from June 15th to June 30th to be able to accommodate typical 3, 4, 5 day snowfall that we get. We've already had 8 snow days this year, and that's what makes it such an anomaly. We go back and forth every year with the dates. We look at all the surrounding communities, ask them, we do a regional thing, we do a statewide review. We talk to our CYPTO group, and basically anybody else who has something to share with us. We started August 26th this year for staff, for our new staff. So we're already starting into, relatively deep into August. We can back that up. There's always an option to do that. However, traditionally, we've not had a problem like this. This is my 12th year in Danbury, and we've never seen anything like this. Matter of fact, this is my 38th year in education. I've never seen anything like this winter. Hope never see it again. But the idea of making sure that we have a buffer at the end is a point extremely well taken. A couple of quick points, because we've had parents ask us questions like this. It is illegal for us to go to school on Saturday or Sunday. If we add hours onto a given week or 2 weeks, let's say we add 1 hour each day for 6 days, that gives us 6 days of instruction, 6 hours of instruction over 6 days. We can do that. Problem is it doesn't count for that lost day. You have to have an actual day in the calendar. So it has to be one of the weekdays. With that said, going back to the survey, we surveyed parents. We received 5,010 responses. There were 3 questions actually, 2 regarding the snow days and 1 was the choice of how you would like to be notified. Of the 5,010, 3,233 parents indicated that they would prefer not to have the February break for the 2 days and maintain the April break. 1,777 said they would prefer not to come to school on the February break, to come to school on the February break and not to have the full April break, and keep shaving off the days as necessary. So as you can see, preponderance of requests have been to eliminate the February break and maintain the April break. Anecdotally, we've been getting many people calling saying, we always look at the April vacation as kind of a sacred time and the time that we don't have to worry too much about snow days. We've made many plans for traveling, hotel accommodations, so on and so forth. We surveyed the staff as well, and pretty much the same profile popped up. We received 827 responses from the staff. 618 of those responses said they would prefer to shave off the February break. 209 said they would prefer to take it off of the April break. So the overwhelming feedback coming in from those folks who have responded support the idea of the board at least considering the February break as being eliminated. Third part of that is when we ask parents how they'd like to be surveyed or communicated, how would they like for us to communicate with them. We gave them 4 choices: instant messenger, the school messaging system was number 1. We asked them if they would prefer a phone call, if they would prefer a text message, an email, or posting on our district website. 60% said we definitely would like to have the instant message system be the primary vehicle, and the other 3 were kind of balanced in their responses. So again, the overwhelming responses, we would like to have the instant messenger continue. The last piece is, as we look at this, we have February 17th as the day before the February break. It's Friday the 18th, Monday the 21st. If we eliminate those 2 days, we can eliminate President's Day, but we would have to have formal recognitions in each of our schools recognizing President's Day. It's up to us to determine what that would actually look like, but we do have to, by law, have some kind of recognition. The day before, the 18th, Thursday, is a professional development day. We haven't as yet. It's atypical for us to talk to the union in public session like this with Cindy.
I've talked to you.
Oh, good, okay.
Briefly.
Thank you, good. It's a teacher evaluation and half day for professional development. The idea then would be to make that a whole day for instructional purposes, so we're able to recoup instructional time. Doing that, it would give us a full day on the 17th, a full day on the 18th, and a full day on the 21st, gives us more contiguous instruction. But in fairness to the union, we would move February 17th to March 22nd, which is already a half day on our calendar. It's just not for teacher evaluation. We would take that and give it back as the teacher evaluation day. So we're just swapping dates when it comes down to me.
Just to note that we've already added the 5 days on to the end of the year. I mean, we've done that the past few years, and that's why currently we're up to the 27th. This puts us in that last week in June where it's, I think, this is somewhat, it's a safety issue. We don't have air-conditioned schools, except the areas where the computers are out in the offices, so it is somewhat problematic. There's some union discussion that is going on too. Kim, do you want to make some comments regarding that?
Sure. Let me just start by saying I had the good fortune, just in terms of timing, to go to the CASPO, Connecticut Association of School Personnel Directors meeting last February, and I can assure you that my emails...
No, not last February.
Last Friday, and I can assure you that my email is overflowing with the dialogue that's now going on among personnel directors. And so far, we've heard from about 30 of them, all of whom are contemplating some combination of what we're talking about today, whether it's taking some of the February days, moving PD days. We also have a lot of districts that started at 182 days, so they're taking some of those days away. So I can assure you that everything has been on the table for all of these districts, and everybody's contemplating similar action. The one big question mark, and I have talked with Mrs. Mirashine also about it, the big question mark among all of us is, what do we do with the people who have pre-committed vacation time, paid plane tickets, non-refundable plane tickets, and how do we handle that? And to be honest, that's also kind of a jump ball. We have in Danbury, we do have a past practice, although it's very, very old, of if we take a day from April, that those people who had pre-made plans could take the day, but that they would be docked. So that's the only experience that we've had so far. There are other districts out there that are considering not just docking, but maybe having those people who take the vacation use their, or pay for the price of a sub, which would be slightly less than their 1 day's pay. So I guess my comments are designed to say, I can't even narrow it down for you about what other districts are doing. Everybody is flying the plane as they're building it and trying to figure out the best way around it. We do also, in some of our other contracts, like for example the secretaries, there are provisions in there that if they do work on holidays that we can give a comp day, so that may be a non-financial ramification. If we do call in people on the days that we've already scheduled for them to have vacation time or for the holiday day. I'm not sure that's all that helpful. I can't really give you a whole lot of information about which direction the prevailing wind is going, other than to say everybody's looking at it.
Any other comments? Elliot? And if I was sitting here and I'd ask how many people would affect. It's just with all the employees that we have, it's just too difficult to ask that question. It's 2 days. I would agree with the speaker. I would hold them harmless and figure a way of using personal days and what have you, if they can demonstrate that in fact they had a prearranged vacation. And kids shouldn't be charged an excuse absence as well. If you were to decide to think about all of them what we have. You can see it's brought a lot of problems. It would be easier just to add the days to the 30th, go into April, and and let bygones be bygones. But I think you need to at least think about it.
Mr. Janelle.
Sal, in the packet, there's a letter from you to the board which makes reference to a May 27th.
We discussed that, not to eliminate that, it's problematic for us. There's a lot of commitments made that day.
So we're not going to...
Yes, the only days we're considering, we think you should consider would be Friday and Monday. At this point. Remember, we have half the winter to go. You may be doing it anyway, you have half the winter to go. That's what worries me even some more.
All right,
yes, I would eliminate that because there have been a lot of commitments for teachers that day.
Mr. Scazafo.
Dr. Sal, I think I asked you this question at a prior meeting or a meeting. Do you remember when you gave me the calendar? So we had to go to the 30th, and then you did know it was going to be off the April. Do you remember that?
Right.
Well, we did make a commitment. The board did make a commitment for that. The 30th, and then was it the April?
Yeah, that's what the calendar says.
Right.
That's correct.
So why are we?
I explain why.
Because of the, I mean, why would we we made that commitment knowing that this always possibly could happen. It's rare, but it could possibly happen. But I'm looking at the board as making of a commitment.
Yeah,
Everybody knows that.
I'm saying, yeah,
we have to go to
you could-
30th and at the 12th of April. I'm not sticking up for anybody. We may be digging into everything in another few, but we don't really know. We got a whole lot going. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I
We
agree.
voted this, you know,
I think this year, as demonstrated with audience before, with exams and everything, there's been some different things happening. I can tell you that I'm somewhat worrying about the last week. You have some way of fixing that right now a little bit by doing this. That's all. And I think, yeah, it does say it on there. Absolutely, it's put on there, I know that. But I think that I need to raise it with you because I'm.
I really don't think, if I may, Rick, I don't know how we could handle this. Nobody's going to be happy with this. There's it's not 100%. My fellow board members and got somebody happy with this. Somebody's going to be unhappy, someone will not. So we just have to make a commitment. If we do feel we have to make a board commitment to the least. Is that why you sent these letters out? I didn't even know you did that.
I sent the letter out because I think you need some more instructional time. And we were asked to get the feeling of others when we come here, not to sway you, but simply to say, there's an element out there that it's a good idea to have kids come to school.
So what is your recommendation? Is that it?
My recommendation is bring it back, eliminate the Thursday afternoon and make it a full day. Hopefully we won't have a snow day, and then Friday and Monday. That might happen, and then the kids come back. If not, then we just keep adding on till we get to the 30th, and then we bounce into April. And I will tell you, I've been in the district, I've been in Illinois, where they have the days that are embedded in our calendar. And when we went, inevitably, we went into April, and if you think that's a smooth sailing because you have it on there, I'll sell you a bridge sometime in Brooklyn. It is a problem for April as well. Don't kid yourself. People start getting, it really is an issue. So I see it on here, but you'd have more to stand on, because it doesn't say anything about February. Absolutely, so, that's not to our advantage.
The other argument that I think we've all been batting around too is the issue of continuity of instruction. I mean, these kids have not had a full day of school since pretty much before the holidays. They've had 1 or 2 days off, and the concern that's coming up, certainly to other personnel directors, but also to me just from our building principals, is the concern that they can't get any momentum because these kids are out at least 1 or 2 days of the week, and it's the continuity issue that's causing this emergency circumstance that we would encourage you to look at this more closely.
Mr. Terry.
With my experience of teaching, I can tell you if you're interested in quality of what happens in the classroom in one day, you're going to have much more taking place effectively in February than you will have in the last part of June. Secondly, as someone who taught on the 4th floor of the high school, in the 1 year that we went over, I can tell you, people were bringing in fans. We had at the Smith School early in the number of cases at the middle schools and what have you. Just because we did the calendar the way we did, which usually would work. Okay, but this is a special time and need, and having lived through that other time and having taught, if you want the students and teachers to be most productive, I think February is the time. And I haven't taken any survey, but over the years, people who make vacation plans usually do plan, I would think the majority of them, from what I've seen over the years, was in April. Yes, you will affect people in February, there's no doubt about it. But if we are reasonable, like Dr. Sal mentioned, and our personal director Kim mentioned, and you try to work with, those who have made commitments to President's Weekend, I think that's the way to go. I just think that's overall the best way to do it.
Anyone else who hasn't spoken yet? Last.
As you know, I'm in very close touch with the principals literally on a daily basis, and principal after principal is reporting significant concerns going back to Kim's point that we just have not had continuity of instruction. I also want to reiterate what Mr. Taversack said. Last year, the year before, the year before, the year before, the year before, come June, everybody says kids just shut down. And every year since I've been here, we've had parents calling asking why don't we have a heat index policy, saying if it gets over 90 degrees, for example, in the classroom, we should shut down. And we've had classrooms reporting 95, 98 degrees. So as we go longer in June, not only is the instruction completely ineffective, but probably actually worse and very dangerous. And we have Mrs. Lavasser, school nurses, as you know, monitoring that literally on a day-by-day, hour-by-hour basis to let us know if there's something that really is dangerous. We have principals taking kids down to the lower floors. We have to bring them outside, the auditorium, and making sure they're in the computer labs, which are air conditioned. It's just not a good thing to go to like in June, not even negative.
I need to add, I'm sorry, just so for the board's information, I'm looking at Melanie, she does transportation. We did notify our private and parochial, and most of them will go along with our calendar.
That's correct.
Okay. I just, there's an issue, we have to bust them, and we notified them and told them, we notify them tomorrow in terms of if you make a decision.
I have a question. Did we consider, or did we even have the facility to, at the same time we were polling parents, like, I don't think that was a foolproof system, because I couldn't get a call, and I'm not on a do not call list, so. But at the same time we're polling parents, we got about half the students responding, I guess half the families responding. Did we consider reaching out to the employees to see, how many had plans, how many would be there, and how much substitutes we need to bring in? That could be an enormous expense that we may not be able to fill. Did we consider that at the same time we're thinking about this?
Yes, and if we had a small staff, we probably would do it. I'm with Bob. I don't believe as many will be taking the Friday, Monday, but to go out there and ask everyone at this point, when we just discovered this weekend we had this option on our phone tree, so no, we didn't ask that question. How many we could have added, but we did not add that on there. Can't explain why you didn't get a call, because if you get a call in the morning, you should have gotten it then as well. But that's an unknown at this point. That's what I preface my remarks. It is an unknown at this point. I can't tell you. If you do this, I'd have to, we would see how many would apply, and then I can report to you. Just tell me, and we'll get it out there, and we'll see what we get, and I'll let you know. I don't know, we have 800, and we have 1,400 employees.
1,400 employees, right.
They just have to document to us they had something before, we just didn't do that.
Do we have a phone tree for employees similar to what we have with our students?
Well, employees get they're on the, right, they're on the phone for the snow delays and everything.
Same thing we had for students. Their staff.
Right, so you could have sent a generic note to students to employees, but there's no way for us to tell how many students responded and how many employees we'd be short, or how many substitutes we'd need that day. Mrs. Molinaro.
Don't we have to work on this right tonight? We would have to do this immediately, we would have to add it as an action item.
If it's not done tonight, it's a moot point. We have no further meetings before this is done, so this would have to be added as an action item tonight. Mr. Genoa.
Kim, as you indicated, you're not really sure how the teachers are going to be somehow compensated, to use that word, or not penalized for taking this, right? At what point do you think, so that the board can be advised, that you would have a decision? Question number one. And number two, is this something that we have to vote on or put into it as a policy? Or is it no?
No.
I just asked a question.
I've had, as Mrs. Mission noted before, we've had discussions about this, and we're all kind of flummoxed on how to proceed. And part of what we're handling is we don't really know how many people we're talking about. So, we can. I think that you can certainly proceed with respect to all the other people, the non-teacher people. I think you can proceed with some relative certainty about applying personal days or what we're going to do with those folks. But with the teachers, it's a difficult question, partly because there are two groups, as somebody said earlier, who are going to be angry. I mean, the group that has the prepaid vacation that wants to now take the time, and the group that doesn't have the prepaid vacation that are sitting in the classroom teaching when their colleagues are off on a paid vacation. So the union is, with all due respect, a little bit between a rock and a hard place, because they're going to have somebody that's not happy. So I'm not sure that, we have brainstormed about whether we can come to some resolution about it, but we haven't as of the time of this meeting. I mean, I would look for some guidance on it, I guess.
But at some point when you do, I think you should at least advise board members as to what you've done. I don't think we can always appease everybody. The other thing is, if we make a motion to put this on as an action item tonight, we have an unknown cost factor. We're putting something, we're voting on something, doing something, because time is of the essence to do it, and we don't really understand what the financial implication is to a particular budget that's kind of lean to begin with.
Right, I mean, to know with any certainty, we would have to have all the people who have the plans have submitted their documentation ready, and we just don't have that. I mean, what some districts have said is those people who can submit evidence of financial hardship by a certain day, Mrs. Mershin and I discussed by the day this board takes action, so in other words, anybody who goes out and buys a ticket tomorrow will be able to take the time. But by this certain day, but we just don't, she's not able to, and I'm not able to get a handle on how many of those people we're talking about. We haven't had the time to be able to gather those sorts of applications, really.
And again, worst case scenario is you can have just a lot of, without a firm policy or discipline, you can have a lot of people opting not to be there, all right? You can have substitutes that you can't get, so you can have just chaos on your hand. But looking at it is playing the devil's advocate.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't know what to do, and I'm sure you don't know what to do because it's having a crystal ball, but I'm just trying to understand the parameters.
Let me follow up on that. In your estimation, or is there an estimate, what is the upper limit of the number of staff people that could not be present? And it'll vary from building to building, but if we have 1,400 employees and 700 of them aren't there, even if we had the money to pay for 700 substitute people, logistically, we couldn't find 700 people. So you're going to have masses of students in buildings with no supervision.
Well,
The question would be, roughly, what is the upper estimate of the number of substitutes we could possibly get in for that time period should the need arise?
the only thing I could look to as a comparator was we have had days, like days after holidays, where people have called in sick and we've used subs. That number has run us as high as 10% of our teaching staff. So that would be about 80 teachers. And we, what I understand from our sub-service is we can run in the spring days anywhere between 80 and 100 subs that we need on any given day. So I don't think that's an unreasonable estimate. But then again, you know, not a lot of people are going to have proof of financial hardship. So I would say somewhere that would be an outside limit, that 10% number. And again, you can carve out of this discussion the 52-week employees because they'll have vacation days or sick days that can, or personal days that can be applied. So really, we're talking about this other group. And if you figure with the secretaries, if we can negotiate the comp day as opposed to a payment of a day. We also talked about whether it was essential to have everybody in or not. I think we've come to the conclusion that obviously the elementary schools need to have secretaries to answer the phones, but we can look at whether we need all of those other employees to come in or just the teachers. So you can carve out pieces of this to get a more reasonable estimate of what we think it would cost if we had to pay money.
And the follow-up to that is, assuming you have 10, 20, 30% of the people, how much of the productive instruction day are you going to get on that type of a day versus a day in June? Is it going to be any better? I don't think either day is going to be that much better, especially considering on the Monday you have to arrange for some special programming to recognize the holiday. I don't know how we would do that, all of that with a skeletal staff and have a productive instruction day. I don't understand how that would happen.
Well, the program could be announcements over the PA, it could be, I mean, it doesn't have to be everybody coming together, having major assemblies. This is fraught with its issues, you know, I know that. Again, I've been doing this 37 years. I don't know if there's going to be 30% of our teachers that are going to be out. You have, you know, you see what you have. You know, Cindy's back there. She's at the wit's ends as I am. You know, I don't know if she could respond what she thinks about how many would be on vacation. But we only have 2 days. If you had a whole week vacation, we'd have a different conversation here. You're talking Friday, Monday. How many of you are already gone for Friday, Monday? You know, I don't think you have the time tonight to say, I'll check it out, get back to me kind of thing. I just, you know, we didn't have that kind of time. We really didn't have that kind of time. When I talked to the superintendents around here that did it, they had saying that, you know, it was a 50-50 kind of thing. They weighed on the side, we should be able to put our instructors in it. Reading had a whole week off.
That's right, we had a whole week off, and that was
And they
obviously a hard
changed.
discussion, and they took the week away. They were gonna go on Monday, but the Tuesday to Friday are not taking it back.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, it varies. I think our risk is much less with Friday than is all we can do. And to take one day and not the other day really doesn't help. It's either you do the weekend or we just don't, and we just head on to the end of the year and one day if we feel too uncomfortable. Cindy, do you want to make the comment? Do you mind if I ask?
I would be interested in hearing what the union representative has to say, if she has a submission.
I don't have any numbers to give you as far as how many people this would affect. I can speak to, I've gotten a few emails on it, what's going to happen. You know, my response has been, well, if I don't like dealing with hypotheticals either, but if that's the decision, then we'll work with Human Resources so no one's harmed. To me, that means no one's harmed financially, whether that's, and we've had that discussion, whether that's paying for a sub or, having put money out for tickets they can't refund, but I don't have any idea of how many people you would be.
You've been teaching in the district a long time. No, not that long.
Not that long. 15 years. When he said he was
But your
over
sense,
I said it's over.
your sense of people taking vacations away, any feelings at all?
No, we've had that discussion too. I spoke with Betty Anderson, who's been in the district long enough to remember having taken off April, because that's what the calendar stated. Again, she said at that time that she recalled, they'd worked things out so people were not harmed in that scenario. And since I've been here, I don't remember April being taken.
The only one that we could find, which I alluded to earlier, was Joyce had mentioned that it was 88, 89 when we took a day, and everybody that took the day was allowed to take the day but was docked.
The other piece I think that's tough with this decision is that you're talking about the timing of it. Many people that have made plans have made plans, I would think. You're talking about just a week away, so we don't have,
Anyone else who hasn't spoken? Mr. Janela.
Yeah, I think we're jumping through hoops with a lot of unknowns here. The biggest part seems to be the quality of instructional time. It seems to be a little bit iffy relative to whether it's in February or the same thing in June. I just wouldn't support this. I just think there's too many hoops to jump through. Financially, I couldn't really support something I don't understand as to what the financial implications are, even the best case estimate that Ilya would give us and hang his hat on. People are prepared to work through June 30th, and that's my feeling. Whether you have to bring a fan to school or not is kind of irrelevant at this point here. But if you want, I'll make a motion to do something and close the discussion.
Okay, and then the last comment I'll make is referring to some of the comments made earlier. When we're faced with a situation where we have to enact what we're saying we're going to enact, and we have doubts about that, I think it's time to relook at the calendar policy as we look to the future years. No matter what happens this evening, when we're faced with reality and we don't think it's the right thing, then it's not the right thing. And we need to take a look at that. That's I think I would refer that to the policy committee in advance of any future calendars being generated. So.
One of the things I had found, those districts that started earlier than we did, which I know we've had that conversation, have an easier time with their calendars as well. So I mean, and the state is looking at regionalizing their calendars, whether that ever happens or not, I don't know. But we did start a little later than most districts. So for your information, and it's on for information. If there's no action, then we move on.
So that being said, is there any interest in adding an action item to the agenda?
I just discussion is still on, I get the feeling here that it does not have the full support that would be needed to make such a decision, okay? So that's the feeling I get just going around the circle. So I'm not gonna add the action item, even though my feelings are expressed.
Can we take it?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
What would be the consequences if we do not take any action tonight?
It becomes a moot point because we do not have a meeting before the President's Day weekend, so those days would not be available to reinstate. So
I would just inform the parents that it's scheduled as is, and we would go to the end of the year and then move into April. I mean, that's what I would tell them, because we had asked their opinion. And that would be what we do.
the other consideration is that, again, we did a phone poll, so I don't know, 60, 65% or more expressed an interest in doing that. Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of people who have felt the same way, and it's roughly the same proportion. So it's also, we should take that into consideration as well. Mr. Scott's probably first on this.
Mr. Chairman, I repeat this to that. I'd like to make a motion to add that to the agenda, and please get a vote on it, and then we go from there. We hire a superintendent to make our decisions. He made the best decision he could. I don't agree with everything, but I think that our professionals have agreed that it's much easier to go to school in terms everywhere than it is in June, and I agree. So I make a motion.
So there's a motion to add an action item to the agenda. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Taversack. All those in favor of adding an action item to the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously. Is there the chair seeks a motion?
I'll make a motion to add to the agenda to accept the superintendent's recommendation to reinstate Friday, February 18th and Monday, February 21st as school days.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Taversack. Any further discussion on the motion? Or any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Mr. Janelle is opposed. Abstention? Motion carries. Mr. Janelle is opposed.
And I thank you very much. I'll report back to you on the absenteeism, so you're aware of what it is.
We also need to take action on the half day, making it a full day,
No.
just for 2 days.
That's what I was trying to tell her.
It's a school day, we're just going to keep it The intent here, just so for clarity, is Friday and Monday and Thursday will be a full day of school. That's
I would suggest, either, I would suggest that to go out of meeting.
That's got him up immediately.
Yeah, we have, in fact, it's written and we'll send it out. As we-
So we're going to use the phone system?
Yes.
Call it out again?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
We should use the phone
My
system.
my phone system talks to me in Portuguese, doesn't it change? They call me every day. I don't speak any English, so I don't understand Portuguese.
Okay.
Change that.
Do we have any further items on the superintendent? Dr. Pascarella? We're still on the superintendent's report. You haven't finished your report yet.
I put something at your places because there was a question about the exam. I think you should see that. Something that's going out. Listen to the conversation we had about the calendar. Can you imagine the conversation and the time that was spent on looking at high school and assessment? It was a very difficult decision for them to make. They tried to make it in the best interest of youngsters. So before you is something I wanted you to have. That is something that's going out tomorrow it'll go with the report cards, and also there'll be a message that goes home. We don't make comments about the ordinance of citizen. There are some things that in here I think might explain, put some context to what was discussed. So I put that before you. I have nothing else at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Pascarella. Oh, you did mention that.
Yes.
We're on to our action items for this evening. The chair seeks a motion regarding action item A.
That the Board of Education adopt the superintendent's fiscal 2011-2012 budget in the amount of $118,638. $118 million, same thing last year. $118,638,099 as recommended by the superintendent for submission to the mayor as required by the city charter.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mrs. Molinaro. Discussion on the budget. Mr. Janelle.
This particular budget has been revised. And we're going to have an action item to
This is the motion that's before the board. So,
I would like to recommend a revised superintendent's proposed budget for the fiscal year 2011-2012 by reducing.
we need a motion to amend.
You need a friendly amendment.
I need to make a
Move to
motion.
amend- Move to amend the motion.
I move to amend the current motion.
Please state the amendment.
The amendment is I'm going to amend the current motion of the $118,638,099. And we would like to reduce the, shall I go on? Reduce the account number 201 by $512,152. Reduce account number 202 by $18,228. Reduce account number 203 by $54,684 for a total reduction of $585,064. And to revise the Finance Committee adopted superintendent's fiscal year 2011-2012 proposed budget to $118,053,034.
Is there a second to the amendment?
Wow, that was.
Seconded by Mr. Fazio. Any discussion on the amendment? Mr. Tarasek.
The original amendment was made in good faith by what was before the Finance Committee when they met a few days ago, but the Finance Committee had made, and Mr. Longo and the administration had made it clear that there was an ongoing process trying to renegotiate certain items, the highest one being the insurance rates with the carriers. So the original budget that was proposed made sense when it was written up, and this is just more recent information on what has occurred, and I think we should all applaud that it's going in the right direction. I think everyone concerned with Denver's education should be glad it's going in that direction.
I think for the board's information, I would just have Mr. Longo describe the accounts that have been amended and what those represent and what those accounts.
Thank you. Accounts 201, 202, and 203 collectively represent all of the district's healthcare accounts. 201 is the general medical health account. 202 for dental, and 203 is the appropriation for our prescriptions costs. The medical is fully funded, and the dental prescription remained at self-funded levels. The $585,654 proposed reduction. The original budget had a placeholder of 12% for a signal renewal rate, and I had informed the Finance Subcommittee that the negotiations with Cigna were daily, and I would, at the time, I asked the board to give further consideration for any future reductions. I'm pleased to inform board members this evening that since our last meeting date, we've had additional concessions made by Cigna for $585,664.
The 12% placeholder has since been revised in order to a 9% placeholder. Are we at the final renewal? No, we're not. I will continue to negotiate on behalf of the board with Cigna, and as we approach the common council deadline for appropriations, we will have a final number to present as part of our final budget as well. The placeholder, which is a conservative and workable estimate for this evening, is a reduction to 1%.
Thank you, Mr. Longo. Any discussion? Pascal?
This is still a work in progress, but I think we need to thank some folks here, Kim and all of the employees that have, and the negotiating team for the board. But we work together, and the co-pay premium shares, the stuff that's done in the pharmaceutical, all this has gone to assist us in controlling costs. It's not something that happened happenstance. These are issues and conversations we've had with our unions, who understood by raising, co-premium shares. So I thank them publicly for that, and for the board for assisting in negotiating the contract. Yeah, we have a zero, but these benefit costs are very, they accelerate. Very hard to slow them down. Experience rates makes a difference, but all these other things, Kim has worked with the unions. I thank you for negotiating, and I think it's been helpful. So I want to go on record to say that. Thank you, because that is helpful.
Mr. Ginelli?
I also want to say thank you. That's a tremendous reduction that we have in our costs. And I think also to be brought to the attention that of the $4,100,000 increase, more than 50% of that increase is attributed to health care. That's an incredible amount of money. $2,300,000, give or take, is attributed to health care. This budget was put together with virtually no discretionary costs that we built in there. The cost that we have in there, the cost drivers, as they've been referred to in previous meetings, have all been costs that are either contractual costs or estimates that we feel relative to utilities as the best case and conservative estimate. So, and this is one of the few years since I've been on the board that, with the exception of maybe $400,000 relative to a labor cost, which is a carryover from a previous contract, we have no labor increases in that because of the participation of the unions and negotiations that we had to come in with a very, very modest increase. I hope the city takes this into account. The Board of Ed, my personal statement, cannot afford any more reductions to its budget. I don't believe we can afford any kind of monies taken away from us. But we're running really lean and mean, and I really think that it would impair the quality of education. Not for teachers, but as to what we could afford for the students. Basically, that's it.
Pascal?
Yeah, because there was a comment made, for the board understanding, we have about 1,400 employees, 52 or 740 or 50 of them live in Danbury. These are Danbury citizens, and they've heard, I think, the call out there. So they're part of what we're doing. So it affects these our Danbury citizens, this budget, and they've heard the call out there to help us. The other thing is, be clear, this budget is moving us forward. Comment about open positions have not been filled. There's some open positions. I was asked about the Director of Information. It is not on here to be filled. We're evaluating other positions that we have. At this point, they are in there, but whether or not we move them along, that would be our, Charlie's position, help me out.
Coordinator of People Services.
It currently is in here moving forward. So it's, when the final budget may impact that, but this just takes everybody we have now and moves the programs forward, is basically what we have, so we're not starting back.
Any discussion on the amendment? So we're talking specifically about the amendment. No, seeing no further discussion. I would just like to wrap up on the amendment just by thanking Mr. Longo and everyone else involved in aggressively getting our administrative costs lower. And I think we're going to need more of that as we move on through March, April, and June. So we appreciate your ongoing efforts to keep our costs low. That being said, those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? The amendment carries. Abstain. Okay, the motion carries unanimously, as Austin James abstains. We move on to the main motion. Discussion on the main motion as amended. Any discussion on the main motion? So what I'll just wrap up by saying, are we going to be back here in a few months? Absolutely. Would it be irresponsible of the board to make further reductions at this time, given the number of unknowns that exist, such as the state, the governor's budget is coming next week. The city still has to finalize the total pot that it can afford. For us to make additional reductions at this time, I think would be irresponsible. Just based on all of the cuts that we've had over the past 3-4 years, somewhere over $10 million worth. So these are cuts we cannot afford to make. And we have an obligation to the students and to the city to move the current programs forward, if not supplement them, which we know we cannot do at this time. So I'm fully supportive of the superintendent's recommendation as amended. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of action item A, please signify by, as amended, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Mr. James abstains. Motion carries unanimously. Chair seeks a motion regarding action item B.
That the Board of Education approve the Danbury High School field trip to London, England, April break 2012, as Exhibit 11-42.
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Alberts. Discussion on action item B. Any discussion?
It's a surprise we had no discussion.
We had it last
Oh, yes,
we already discussed it.
Okay.
I wasn't here then. I didn't hear
Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, that's all for our action items. Any further discussion on any? Seeing none, the chair seeks a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Molinaro, seconded by Mrs. James. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? The board stands adjourned.